Liz Lovick from Northern Lace again. This time we're going to be talking about sock blanks. Now you may or may not come across these before, but they come like this or they come dyed like this. Let's look at this one first. This one is unusual in a sense because it's lace weight, but it's been nicely dyed in a rainbow sort of effect. Now you can see with this one here, the ends are easy because this has been cast on a knitting machine, and so you know this is the bottom, and therefore this opposite end is where you're going to need to pull stuff from. Now you can also see here something you get on most blanks, the fact that it isn't straight across. They've very often been cut, so you're going to have little bits. But your first job is to sort out what's happening. And you can see here, yep, that's one piece we don't want. You're always going to get this. And now I think it looks as though I can start putting it into a ball. Now let's have a look now at another sort. Now this one has got two strands of 4-ply sock yarn, and the idea is that you can make two socks exactly the same. Now if we look at this one, the dyer has been very kind and has left a long end on the end that you're going to pull from, and on it comes, so that's easy. The thing that you need to watch out for is if you try and pull from the wrong end, you will get twists at the beginning of every other round, so it doesn't pull easily, and you've got to keep pulling that out. That's why you need to work out which end you're going to work from. As I say, some dyers do that, some don't. If you want to dye yourself, then you can buy these sock blanks. This is another double-stranded one, and this is how it came to me. Here at the top, I can see straight away, and if you can see that there, that is not the right end, this is the right end. So when I come to dye this, I will remember that this end is the end I am starting from, and I'll be going down towards the other end. This one here is a double knitting blank. It's a single strand of double knitting. And again, the place I get these from will very often pull a bit of the yarn out from the correct end. Some do, some don't. And again, you can see here, sometimes that colour is indicating the beginning and sometimes it's indicating the end of the blank. So basically you've got to look at both ends. That looks like a proper cast off, and if I pull that back, I haven't got a thing with me, that will be the end to start from. And so when I'm dyeing one of these, what I do is, sorry, the red is just there to make it easier to see. Look at the size of your blank. Now if you're doing it for socks, then you can do anything you like with the colour, no problem. If you're going to be doing it for a shawl, especially if it's going to be a shawl where you start at the middle of the top long end and work 2 triangles down, you want to make sure that as the rows get longer, you have more of the colour. So here what I would do is I would make small bands of colour gradually getting bigger, so that almost half of it would be the end sort of. What can you make with these things? Well, let's have a look at this that I've just finished doing. This was a 4-ply single blank from Rainbow Fusions. She's a brilliant dyer. And what I've done here is I have made a pair of socks and a pair of mitts. I started at this end here, I worked up there, I worked along to the end of that. What I then did is I made the rest of it into a ball, so I had the far end to start the second sock at the end of the blank, and worked backwards in the same way, and so they meet in the middle. I had about 3 meters of yarn left over this one, but that way you've got that complete thing. I think it's more fun than having a pair of socks exactly the same, but not everybody agrees. Now, when I come to use one of these single blanks, the first thing I do is I fold it in half, and at roughly the halfway point I put in a marker. Now this is useful if you're doing something like 2 socks or 2 mittens or something, because then you can see if you're going to have enough yarn. It's also useful if you're doing something like a shawl, so that you know roughly when you're halfway through. And then all you do is you pull back a few rows, and then you just start to knit. Now you'll see that the yarn is very much concertinaed, and this does mean that when you come to check your tension or what the fabric looks like, you need to make sure you wash it first. This will all go when you wash it, but before then your piece may look a little odd, so make sure that you wash before you work out what the tension you're going to use is. The other thing I would say is sometimes you get a break, and I found a break at the beginning of this. Keep those odd bits. It's amazing, you know, if you suddenly find you're a bit short, you can use that bit later. So I keep all the odd bits just for safety. Now, when you start to knit, from now on, you can just knit from this piece. I often will put it all together like that and put a band round it. If you're somebody who likes knitting when they're outside, this is ideal. And all you do is you just pull off the next bit when you're ready for it. And it's as easy as that. Right, now this is the blank which has got 2 strands, and we looked and saw that at this end, when you pulled it, you found you got a sort of knot. So that is the wrong end to pull from. So we're pulling from this end. Now, if you're using the 2 together, you can just use it in an ordinary way. But normally with these, what people are doing is making 2 socks or 2 mitts or whatever the same. And so what you need to do from the start is to separate these. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to separate them, and you're going to make 2 balls. Now, at the start, this is an utter pain, but when you get going, you'll find that it is much easier And what I do is I do that sort of amount. I then wind one part of the ball, I then put that down, and I wind the other one. And just continue doing that. I usually sort of do 3 or 4. If you do too many, then you'll get everything into a fangle, and you don't want to do that. Just do this and take that off, and now come back to this first one and wind that. And so as you go on, you will find you've got the 2 balls which you can then knit from in the usual way.